Okay, I'm Jason Renault with the Alternative Mobile Services Association, and today we're doing AMSA talks with Ethan Cheramie. Welcome, Ethan.
Thank you. Great to be here.
And Ethan is a recovering lawyer, and he's an entrepreneur, and he's the founder of On Scene Services, which is active in both New Orleans and Baltimore. And they are doing an alternative response to traffic incidents where police would normally be called out. Now, Ethan is being and his team are going to the scene and sorting out what needs to be sorted out. Ethan, welcome, and tell us, start out by telling us how you got to On Scene. Uh,
Thank you, Jason. Great to be here. On Scene's a project that's 30 years in the making. First ran into issues, as we all know, sometimes in understaffed departments of getting a police report in a timely fashion.
hmm,
And delays in New Orleans go back to well into the 1990s and before. So there was always that problem sitting in the back of my head, and we decided to tackle it in 2017. We began a pilot operation in New Orleans in 2018, and we ran a 5-year pilot here where we had two vehicles responding to traffic accidents instead of sending New Orleans police. And after 5 years, we ran into just about every type of scenario you can imagine
hmm.
seeing out there. The city decided to proceed forward with us, and in 2023, we really started expanding the program here.
Well, fantastic. And tell us what size, what's the dimension now in New Orleans?
Sure. So in New Orleans, we respond to basically everything automotive here. That's non-injury accidents, it's injuries, it's hit and runs, it's abandoned vehicles or people who need service on the roadway in any kind of manner.
Hmm.
We may end up responding initially to a fatality or a DWI, DUI type call, but we have the ability to call in NOPD and state police to handle those. And the program's been a resounding success since 2023 as we expanded into 24 and into 25. Last year, for the calendar year, we responded to a little over 10,000 calls for the New Orleans Police Department. That represented about 40 or so percent, 35% of all of the calls into 911 dealing with
Wow.
traffic accidents. And it was a big, big impact on the city here.
So there are still officers going to some, but you're
Correct.
you're tackling 45%. That's tremendous.
Yeah, we had an impact report that we've done, and we'll share it with everyone here in the notes, the show notes. On those 10,000 calls that we responded to, it was estimated that we put back about 24,000 officer hours became available to respond to higher priority type calls for service other than lower level priority, low priority car accidents.
And you may have, just so I get this clear, you may have a situation where there's officers on the scene as well as your service, if it's
Correct.
particularly complicated.
Yeah, depending on the size of the accident, we're normally primary response now in the city. We're dispatched directly by the 911 center, or our guys can self-dispatch. We call our guys agents. We have male and female agents, and we can talk about what makes up an
Hmm.
OSS agent in a minute. Recently, there was a high-profile fatality case that happened where we were not primary response there, but NOPD actually called us for backup
Hmm.
to help with traffic direction, et cetera, instead of us calling for NOPD backup.
So this is for low-level uh, civil matters that don't require a lot of policing, but just require a person to be on the scene quickly and to sort things out.
Correct. And if you look at the anatomy of a typical 911 call for an
Mhm.
auto accident, it's normally going to fall into one of three or four categories, right? Non-injury, meaning EMS is not rolling out to that scene. Both parties can normally drive away, minimal damage to your vehicles or so on. Possible or apparent injury where EMS rolls out. Hit and runs, which we also respond to, where one party's nowhere to be found, and then that call actually becomes a criminal call. And then your fatality and your DUI type calls as well on there. And as our program has grown over the years, the level of trust in our performance and our reporting has grown to where we are now that primary responding unit for just about every type of call that comes out regarding an automotive crash.
Well, let's talk about trust building because that's an important issue to everyone doing mobile crisis and alternative response.
Sure.
How were you? And there's several entities you've built trust with, not just police, but also with the city of New Orleans and citizens.
Correct, correct. It's a hard thing to build trust. Everyone can overpromise and underdeliver, and I always say that we're pretty bad at playing poker here because if we're going to talk the talk, we got to walk the walk as well over here. So part of our trust building program is one, familiarity. We're going to hire a lot of people familiar with the current agency, i.e., retired police officers.
Mm.
We currently have a roster of about 16 agents, we call them. Out of those 16, approximately 10 are retired NOPD officers, and the other six are from outside jurisdictions of people that have either retired or just wanted to make a lateral transfer into us. And our agents range in age from 27 or so up to late 60s, around there. So we're going to bring a familiar face a lot of times, and the big requirement is law enforcement experience, specifically patrol experience. We look for all of our agents to have a minimum of 5 years of patrol. During that time, they've worked traffic accidents as well. And then we run them through the process. Everyone is CJIS certified here. We're all into the LET system in each state that we operate as well. And then we provide a lot of transparency on our everyday, day-to-day operations. And all of that together builds that level of trust for our agency partners.
Well, back up a little bit and tell me what's that CGIS you mentioned?
CJIS, the Criminal Justice Information System, the federal computer system where you can, access and run driver's license numbers, etc.
So, because you have access to that information, that really enables you to be much more effective. That's a major asset.
Uh, Correct, but that's not our primary goal. When
Mhm.
when we developed this system with the city, with Chief Michael Harrison when he was back at NOPD back in 2018, we wanted to show that we're here to help. We're not here to go any further than that. It's a traumatic time for everyone. You got in a wreck. Your could be your largest asset just got damaged, and it's a civil matter, right? So to that end, we're totally unarmed. We normally don't write citations on anything. We don't run background checks or we don't run warrant checks or any of these things on any of the drivers in there. And this is all in pursuant with best practices adopted by our agency partner. Obviously, if we have a different department that wants us to do different processes, we'll do that. But everyone sees the need in an accident for help as opposed to running someone's background to see if there's any other outstanding issues with them. So even though we're certified for a lot of other activities, our primary focus here is just to help people get in and out and on with their day after their car was moderately or majorly damaged.
So another way you built trust is by collecting a lot of data and sharing it.
Correct, correct. We build open reporting platforms for our agency partners where we can track any kind of metric that they would like us to track. If you'd like, I'll show you a screen here
Yeah.
that shows what we're doing currently for NOPD. Sure. So, Jason, what I'm showing here is our dashboard that we've customized for the New Orleans Police Department to show them basically total transparency on our agent operations. You can see in the upper corner here, this is for the month of June. We responded to 1,024 calls, and there were approximately 2,000 calls, 1929, that came into the 911 system, specifically on those four types of calls, the signal 20s, 100s, and 20Is. And that's the major ones, a non-injury, injury, hit and run types of calls that we have in the city here. So overall, we responded to roughly 51% of all of the calls that came into 911. On the bottom, we show it broken down per day by the blue is the number of the line that shows the number of calls that came into 911 for the day, and the red shows the number of responses that we did for that day. And then to make our reporting even a little more transparent, we like to get feedback from the parties that we serve, being there to help. So, about a half hour after an agent leaves the scene or an agent dismisses the parties from the accident, we push a text message to the parties involved in the accident, and we ask them on a scale of 1 to 10 to rate us. Tell us how we did. Tell us how the agent did. And you can see for the month of June, we had a 9.37 rating out of 10 on here. So, number of different metrics that we have to hold ourselves accountable. We have a different dashboard that shows our average times from dispatch to arrive and dispatch to close a scene. And this is another tool that we use to help build trust with all of our agency partners. We have a full GPS map of where our units are at any given time of day. That we can track, and we can track an agent's activity down to roughly about a 5 minute span throughout the day. So all of these tools combined obviously shows that we're on top of our game. We can provide the necessary insight and transparency to all of our partners to show how things really, really work here. In New Orleans right now, we're currently operating 18 hours a day. We run from about 6 a to midnight. After midnight, between midnight and 6 in the morning, only about 6% of the total calls come in during that time. So it's not really efficient for the city to keep us out there during that time. So we're operating in a window when roughly 92 to 95% of all of the calls are going to originate. And specifically, it's what you would imagine, right? Drive time in the morning, accidents pick up, calls pick up. It stays elevated throughout the day, and then drive time in the afternoon as well. And by 7 or 8 p.m., it starts trickling down a little bit on there. And that's the same nationwide. You're going to see the same types of data patterns wherever we go here.
So, Ethan, have you heard of any other police department, law enforcement agency that texts um, uh, people after the incident to see how they were doing?
Not to my knowledge. I'm sure there's a few technologically advanced departments out there that are probably tracking some kind of citizen and civilian sentiment out there, but we're unaware of it.
Well, it's just a great and simple tool to build that trust with the person who's received the service so that
Sure.
they know who delivered the service
Right.
and they can recognize you when you drive down the street and rely on you in the future.
Correct. And we feel like it's our obligation to provide that service to help people in their time of need. We're subject matter experts in this one particular area, and when we do it bigger, better, faster, cheaper, right? We do it very, very efficiently, and we try to deliver that elevated service. For instance, in New Orleans, it's 94 degrees today. All of our agents ride around with chilled bottled water in the car, and we give everyone a bottle of water, whether they want it or not, just to help cool and de-escalate the situation if
Yeah.
there's any need there.
That's great. That's great. That's a very good idea. Now, you talked a lot about New Orleans. Tell us, you're also operating in Baltimore. Tell us about
Correct.
Baltimore. Very
Yeah,
different city.
Baltimore's a little more challenging, but its own different challenges. But the model still works there geographically as well as is how you look at it in terms of when we talk about a new market. We're going to do a full analysis on call times, types, geographic overlay. Use a little AI in there for predictive analytics as well. Baltimore, we're in the second year of our pilot operation over there. With the bridge incident last year, that obviously increased traffic on some other surface streets. So we're seeing more calls there. Baltimore specifically sequesters some of their calls as what they deem non-reportable, meaning there isn't even enough damage to
Oh,
justify an official state police report. But anyone who's been in a car accident knows that you really need some type of neutral third party to say you're at fault and you're not at fault or so, right? Otherwise, it's your word against the opposite party. So our niche in Baltimore is we've been responding in this pilot program to these non-reportable type of calls, and we're providing the parties with a modified type of one-page report that at least is a documented evidence from a neutral third party that they can provide to their insurance carriers in hope of expeditiously adjusting that claim.
You're leading right to my next question is what do the insurance companies think about all this?
They love it, right? We have all the data needed to help them adjudicate a claim within 2 hours of that accident. So when an OSS agent is dispatched by 911, we have an official police radio. We have a CAD terminal in the car, the same system that our police partners are using. That way, if we need any kind of backup, we're just a radio call away. We can see all the calls in the city that way. And when we get on scene, we elevate that service level, right? We're going to give each party a clipboard and ask them to write down what happened. We're going to take photos of their license, insurance, and registration, extract all that data with our AI tools and so on. And then we'll also shoot 360-degree photos of each vehicle. We'll get some video as well. We wear Axon body cams,
Hmm.
Axon 4 body cams. So we're gathering significantly more data than has ever been captured at the scene of an accident, significant more than any police officer would normally capture. And then we just throw it up in the cloud, and all of that data is available within a matter of hours to the parties involved in that
So the
accident.
insurance company can pull that right off your site.
Correct. Correct.
Very interesting. Anyone decline to participate with this?
In terms of individuals, early on, we thought we'd have to do a big public service campaign with Chief Harrison or even in Baltimore, but that wasn't the case. We would probably have a 1% rejection rate where people said they wanted the real cops. But
Hmm.
now we actually have, when you look in the notes on the dispatch system, there are people who are asking for OSS to be dispatched instead of regular police. So once people are comfortable with the level of service out there, and the reputation is built throughout the community, people start asking for us by name.
Yeah, you showed that to me a little bit earlier that when people can respond by text after the incident, they can leave a comment, and their comments
Correct.
are highly complimentary.
Oh yeah, yeah. And if it's a negative comment, obviously it's something we need to look into and provide some opportunities for either retraining or root cause analysis on what led to that poor type of review.
Now, this has got to lead city councilors and chiefs to think about, well, I can get these private uh, guys to come and take over this task that I can't recruit police officers for. What does the police labor think of your work?
It's been very, very positive. New Orleans, we work with the Fraternal Order of Police over here for sourcing. We work with the New Orleans Police Department here. In St. George, Louisiana, which we're ramping up right now, same opportunities there.
Mhm.
Few other markets, we've had initial meetings, and we've actually had written and verbal support from the police unions in those markets. To help us start a program up in a few of our markets that are in development right now. Baltimore's a little different. The Baltimore Union and Police Department have had an acrimonious relationship all along. We're trying to show them the value of us being a partner in there and the benefits that that would bring to their membership, i.e., employment part-time or full-time for their retired officers and so on. So we've got a little bit of a challenge in Baltimore, but for the most part, everywhere else it's been well received.
What's next for on-scene services?
Growth, right? We're in discussions with about a dozen other cities right now. It takes some time between chiefs and executive lieutenants and assistant chiefs and the councils. A lot of times, we thought the it may get a little politicized with the council, but we've got a great value prop on there for them. So one of the last points that we bring, especially to council members, is we talk about the scarcity of a commissioned law enforcement officer, a peace officer, right? As we all know, it's been the big discussion for a number of years now on police shortage. There are too many calls, not enough cops out there. And we need to look at police officers, the guy with the gun and the arrest authority, as a scarce resource. And it's our duty as a society to decide, how do we best want to use this scarce resource? Do we want a police officer filling out paperwork in the middle of the street for a low priority, non-injury civil matter like a standard car accident is? Or do we want that cop with the gun chasing the proverbial quote unquote bad guy who may have just committed a robbery down the street, or responding to a domestic call, or whatever another type of high priority call is? So it's best and most favorable, most efficient use of our scarce resource out there. And we've proven that our model can take the call burden off of departments for these lower level um, civilian, non-injury type calls, right? And if we give this for a quick example, this is one that the New Orleans Council really, really likes about our program. Last year, we did right at 10,000 calls. This year, we're on pace to do about 15,000 calls. For every call we respond to, if we do 15,000 calls in the year, that's 15,000 fewer opportunities for a negative outcome between law enforcement and civilians, right? It's 15,000 fewer opportunities for the guy with the gun and arrest powers to have any negative outcome with an unarmed type civilian. So that's a big, big, big win, especially for um, possibilities and mitigation of negative outcomes. The second piece is that force multiplier. We're going to share with you the third party impact report that we had on NOPD for the year 2024. And in those 10,000 calls that we did, that we responded to, it's shown that we probably put right at 24,000 officer hours available for redeployment to those higher priority type calls. And that's the equivalent of 16, 17 full-time officers right off the bat right there. So it's a multi-pronged approach, right? We're trusted out there. We're subject matter experts on car accident response. That's what we do in and out every day. We're there to help people, right? And we have a few of those big, big benefits. We reduce the call burden on police officers, and we have that force multiplier effect. So we truly are a trusted partner in a public-private partnership in 3 cities right now, and growing. And we look forward to participating with AMSA throughout the year and helping to grow the association, and being a very good contributing member with you.